Hi, Ross here from Biker Talk, the channel where I talk to bikers of all ages about their motorcycle and where they like to ride. I'm here today with beautiful Sydney Harbour in the background to talk to the Enfield guy, Jimi Swan.
Hey guys, I'm Jimi Swan. You might know me as the Enfield Guy. I've been running for about 15 years and I live in Sydney, Australia. I got into motorcycling through my grandfather. Unfortunately, we didn't get to ride together, but his stories were what inspired me to get a bike. He had an old Coventry Eagle, Super 8, but he always talked about one particular bike that his brother wanted, and I held on to that for a long, long time, and that was a Royal Enfield. The bike actually started out as a ravishing red Interceptor, and the tank I've had painted to, I hope I pronounced this correctly, Yucca Green, which is an old, I believe, VW Golf colour. But if you look at the KX concept bobber that Royal Enfield put out at the Italian Motor Show back in 2019, I think it was, the concept bike they had was exactly the same colour as that, which speaks to an older 1938 Royal Enfield as well. So I wanted to try and keep that colour alive because I thought if that goes, it'd be a shame to lose it because I think it's absolutely beautiful. I've added some Heidenauer K60 tyres to it to give it sort of more of that scrambler feel. The exhaust, I've just put on some quite sort of bratish, loud reverse cones on there. A little bit of wrap just for cosmetic reasons, and the headlight grille as well. Currently, I have a 1961 Royal Enfield Clipper, which is one of the later models that was to come out of the Redditch factory before they shut. It's a beautiful old bike. It's in fantastic condition. It's up at Royal Enfield Sydney and Burwood at the moment as their display bike in their showroom. I've also got a 2010 Royal Enfield G5, which it's an interesting story. That bike. It's classified in Australia as a classic chrome, but in India it was known as a Bullet Electra. So it's a classic, but it's also a Bullet, around about the time when Royal Enfield came into introducing EFI. But I've owned several Royal Enfields, the Himalayan as well, which I absolutely love. A few older 1980s Enfields as well, which I've done up and then moved on, and that's pretty much it. I think it's the history of Royal Enfield that I love. To me, it's a brand that probably shouldn't be here. It's been through so many different incarnations, and it's survived through wars, I guess through close to bankruptcy as well. But it's survived, still here to tell a story. And there's this rich heritage of bikes and how they've helped people through, I guess, wars, disasters, things like that really appeals to me. We've got a long journey, I guess, between major cities in Australia, so there's a lot of freeway riding to be done. So initially with the Royal Enfields that I've had previous to this have been single cylinder 500 cc's or smaller. As a city commuter, fantastic, but hitting the freeway just didn't quite have the comfortability of sitting at freeway speeds. But now, with a 650 parallel twin, it'll sit on 110 all day. Its parts are really the sum of what the Royal Enfield community, and I think wider motorcycling community, have asked for. They want something that's responsive, able to commute well and freeway speeds. I think the looks and handling of it as well speak to that. I know for a long time, being a Royal Enfield rider, that this bike absolutely ticked every single box. And it's not just the look of it. I guess the engine as well. It's got plenty of power to be able to cruise all day long, to get you out of trouble if you do need to get out of trouble. Also, the things like the exhaust note of the bike, it speaks to the older Enfields as well. It's maybe not the classic thump, but it's still a note that I think is absolutely beautiful. My reason for getting into motorcycling would be to escape, to get out of, I guess, the 9-to-5 corporate world. I've got a pretty busy job, pretty full-on demanding job. So for me to put on a helmet and take off just absolutely leaves all those worries behind. I can have my own thoughts and just be with my bike on the road, and that's it. Mainly a commuter. and weekend just social rides as well. I run Sydney Enfield Riders. I founded that back in 2016. It was really just a group of like-minded enthusiasts that would get together who all rode Royal Enfields. And it was a way to keep in touch. It was a Facebook group that started off. I think we started with about 15 riders in the beginning. And since that time, over the last 5 years, we've expanded to about 400 people. It's really, I guess, a group of guys and girls who enjoy riding. It's not always about Royal Enfields. We get a couple of other bikes in there as well, but it's really just a really good meeting point for people who are wanting to just go on a cruise on a Sunday and grab a coffee. My favourite place to ride would be India. I've been lucky enough to travel around the world to some pretty interesting places, and I think I'll call India out not just because that's where Royal Enfield comes from, but it's such a diverse country like Australia that goes from some tropical landscapes and beautiful lush mountains up into the Himalayas, which is just absolutely stunning to ride. I'd say the most interesting place I've ridden is Dharamshala in India. We took a day sort of out of our planned route on a trip we were doing to head up to where the Dalai Lama lives, and it was pretty incredible to ride past different groups of people from different ethnicities, rich, poor, all sort of heading to this one spot. So that was a pretty special moment. Cambodia. I've done a bit of riding through Vietnam, but Cambodia, I guess, being landlocked, predominantly, it's I think a country that offers a lot to riders, probably more to do the trail type riding, but yeah, I really love that country and I'd love to get back there and do some more riding. The key piece of advice I'd give to a young rider is to be patient on the road. You're not really on the road to turn into the next, MotoGP rider or to be jumping out of gutters over bins or anything like that. I think it's just about being, super cautious of your surroundings and make sure you're visible to riders as well. Today I've got all black on. That's a different story, but I always wear a white helmet. And if there's one point of difference you can make to stand out, something like that, white helmet, maybe it's a louder coloured jacket, something like that. But just be seen and be patient on the road. I decided to take on YouTube a few years back. It was really based on my Facebook account that I had. So I had the first incarnation of the Enfield Guy was called REB 500, which was the adventures of my Royal Enfield Bullet 500cc. And that Facebook page fast sort of, I guess, amassed about or close to 200,000 followers, which I'd make small clips, add them on there, and people were asking for some more sort of longer form videos. So yeah, YouTube came along, and that's been a bit of a slow burn for me, which is okay. I think it's a craft. Learning how to do a bit of filmmaking and editing and things like that has been tricky, but I'm absolutely loving it, and I'm hoping that's something that'll grow over the coming years. Yeah, I think my granddad would be incredibly proud. I'm passionate about my motorcycles, not just about one brand in particular, but all bikes. And he was a great inspiration to me. And it's kind of cool to be able to see my mum kind of relive some of what she saw in her dad, and he's no longer here, so she gets to see it through me.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. And remember, you can't buy happiness, but you can ride a motorcycle, and that's kind of the same thing.
I think last year, I broke the same foot twice, dropping the bike in the garage. Just hit a patch of oil in the garage part, and it wasn't oil leaking from a Royal Enfield either.